we'll get to Antonio Brown in just a second, but first, little minor league baseball action. Justin Turner of the Springfield Cardinals with a great catch. Where'd he go?
Now, this is the thing in baseball. If you catch the ball and touch the ground, that should be a home run.
Home run.
Absolutely.
I was about to say that, and I thought you'd kill me for it. I totally agree. And we don't even know if he actually held the ball the whole time.
All right, next up, internet dunker Isaiah Rivera through the legs, 360 over a human being.
I mean, this guy...
Yeah, these people are out of control now. I'm just going to tell you, these highlight of dunks are a lot better than the dunk contest.
Oh, much better.
This is, I mean, again, a dunk I've never seen before. Over a guy, reverse 360 east bet.
I just want to see the outtakes, though. I just want to see how many times my man groaned this dude in the neck.
That one was his fifth try.
I got to get a little higher.
Five-star class of 2020 guard Josh Christopher putting the defender on a poster at the Drew League right here.
Is it the Drew League? Young LaMelo Ball had a hell of a weekend at the Drew League. A little 10-point comeback in the final minute for his squad. Look at that. On two defenders. Hey, man, what's the big fella doing down in the paint not contesting? Just watch number 0, I think it is. Man, either leap or get out the way. Don't
well, his buddy was there. He couldn't jump into him.
All right, Ravens camp wide out. Michael Floyd jumping over the defender to make a nice two-handed grab.
Oh. I thought this was going to get smashed.
Michael Floyd, man, he's been kicked around the league. Yeah. Baltimore could use another weapon on the outside to give the young quarterback another target. Can Michael Floyd resurrect his career there with the Ravens? I don't think so, man.
Nice effort.
Doesn't have the speed he used to be able to have coming out of Notre Dame.
All right, moving on to Antonio Brown's helmet gate. So over the weekend, AB said he'd retire if he couldn't wear his old helmet. Even filed a grievance with the NFL. Well, yesterday, that grievance was denied. So did he retire? Oh, no, quite the opposite. He walked that threat back, fully retracting his ultimatum, tweeting, "While I disagree with the arbitrator's decision, I'm working on getting back to full health and looking forward to rejoining my teammates on the field. I'm excited about this season. Appreciate all the concerns about my feet." All right, CC, you said he wouldn't retire. Have the AB headaches just begun for the Raiders? I mean, we've seen a ton of noise, if you will, already in camp. Season hasn't even started yet.
Well, this is the thing. You only know of a few stories in Pittsburgh. So if you know of a few stories, you know there's more stories than that. Why would the Pittsburgh Steelers trade away a receiver over the last 6 years? 100 catches, 12 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards. Why do you do that? Because you're sick and tired of his mess. You're sick and tired of him coming up with stuff. And then when the playoffs is on the line, he doesn't call anyone, doesn't tell anyone. That right there was, we got to be able to let him go. No, this is just the beginning. When you do something like this and you hear your coach support you, oh, yeah, this is just the beginning for the Raiders. Like, he's supposed to be the face of the franchise, and I can understand the Raiders. They got a different brand that they're marketing to. But it's a team sport. And guys on your team, ultimately, they get tired of it because they're trying to make a living. And in this division, man, it's going to be tough to be able to win games. How do they develop Derek Carr with a wide receiver like him? It's going to be difficult. But this is just the beginning. You're threatening people. You're showing people your bank statements in meetings. Like, how are you going to mentor younger players? And to me, it's a hard deal. And John Gruden, he hadn't put his foot down. And if you allow a wide receiver, Denny Green used to say this, I got an open door policy. All right, if you ever want to talk, you can come to my office and we can talk about everything. But he said, but you wide receivers, no, I can't leave it open. I can only leave it cracked because you guys are being there every day. I need something. I need something. I need my equipment, my money. I need some more targets. And did I mention my money again? No, this is just the beginning. These are all signs that he is going to push the envelope just like any other kid would do until their parents finally crack down and everyone is in agreement. No, in Oakland, they're not in agreement.
I think the point you made about the butterfly effect of John Gruden's stance publicly on this is an important one. Gruden's stance was everything but a deterrent. Gruden, and I understand why he thought he had to do it, but he put his arms around AB very publicly. Very publicly, he defended him on the feet. He said, listen, that was not his fault. That was just an accident for a guy that was trying to get better. And the helmet, he didn't even, I thought at the very least he might no comment the helmet. Like, listen, that's something, he defended AB on the helmet. He's like, this is personal to him. It matters to him. And
everyone's equipment's personal, though.
Of course. And so when you see that, if you're Antonio Brown, not that being excoriated by Gruden would have been a deterrent, but this was obviously the opposite of a deterrent.
Of course.
And the question I would ask for anyone out there that thinks Antonio Brown is about to reverse course, who are the super rich, successful 30-year-olds, 31-year-olds that show increasingly erratic behavior and then out of nowhere all of a sudden start walking the line? They don't exist. Like, when you at this age start upping the ante on erratic or, dare I say, crazy behavior, and at each step of the way, you are rewarded. You are rewarded with more money. You are rewarded with getting your way. I understand he didn't get his way with the NFL on this.
Coach.
You are rewarded with public fame and all of this. Why? You almost have to ask, why would Antonio Brown change? It's not like being traded from the Steelers was something he didn't want. Maybe if this was, he had always wanted to be a Steeler, wanted to stay a Steeler, and was shocked they traded him.
No, he asked for it.
No. He demanded it. The owner met with him, was like, hey, can we fix it? Nope, you can't fix it. Nice talk to you, Mr. Rooney. I'm out of here. So he has no reason to change his behavior from his perspective.
In Pittsburgh, it got to the point where the chaos and the pain of having Antonio Brown, there wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the production you got. And it wasn't worth, you know, all the effort he put into. We talk about how he's one of the hardest working guys. At what point does that become the case in Oakland? At what point do they say, maybe we shouldn't have done this? So they start regretting what they did with Antonio Brown. He hasn't even shown anything on the field yet.
I just don't see successful people admitting publicly when they make mistakes. Men, typically, they like to come up with some type of excuse. That's what John Gruden's going to do. That's what Mike Mayock is going to do as a general manager. Both of them have put their career basically in the hands of these players that are very, very questionable off the field. No, they're not going to admit it, but the way to be able to see does it work is, are they able to develop Carr as a quarterback? And if they're able to do that, if he's able to develop to be their franchise quarterback, then in certain measures, it is worth it to have AB there. Are they able to keep their fan base engaged until they get up and going in Las Vegas? Then it would be worth that, trading those picks to be able to bring a star, a face to your team. Because I watch Hard Knocks. They don't have a whole bunch of storylines. They don't have a whole bunch of good players. Like, so, AB, it's important. And if he can develop the quarterback, and if they can have a face as they transition to Las Vegas, then, yes, it would be worth the risk.
There were 2 star receivers traded this offseason. And when we talk about the other one, Odell, one of the reasons I'm so optimistic about him in Cleveland is that's the best quarterback he's had. That's the best team he's been on. It's the best support he's had as far as great defense, another good wide receiver, all of these things. For Antonio Brown, all of that's true, except it's the exact opposite. This is the worst quarterback he's ever been on. This will be the worst team he's ever been on. This will be the worst receiving core he's ever been a part of, the worst support structure around him. And you go from the Steelers organization and that infrastructure with Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert to John Gruden and Mike Mayock, who Mayock is unproven, but we'll see. That does not bode well. That does not bode well for his mental state as far as how much he enjoys the game, how successful he is. When he sees the years you're talking about, 6 straight years, where essentially 1,300 yards if you round up and 100 catches, a stretch that you can put up against anyone catches yards in NFL history. What's that feel like when instead of being 11-5 with 105 catches for 1,400 yards, you're 6-10 with 85 catches for 1,000 yards? How does that land? How does he react to that? That is something that we have never seen with Antonio Brown, and I feel like we're about to this season.
I don't think we're going to get the yardage, but he's not going to win. But I don't believe winning's important to him. That's why going to the Raiders for him was very successful. It was about getting paid. A lot of times people say, man, I am winning. I'm the highest paid. I am winning. I'm one of the highest paid. I am winning if I'm getting this salary. And to me, that was more important to him. I think he's going to get 1,300 yards. I believe him and Carr are that good. And it's the easiest time ever to be able to throw in this league. But Does the quarterback develop, and are they able to transition from Oakland, bad stadium deal, moving to Vegas? If he's the face of the team when they're able to get there, then it was worth the risk.
And is this the last headache that he poses for the Raiders?
No,
Probably not.
Come on, listen. They need a bottle of aspirin bigger than my mug right here.
Take a break. Coming up, is Tom Brady still planning to play till he's 45?
Headaches on the horizon.
First.
Now, if you want to find out what to do, watch the next block. We got a veteran. We'll show you how to do it. Oh, I want to be great. I want to be a great teammate.